All right. With that out of the way, let's move on to our final main topic. And this one's going to be a very, 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 very touchy one. But I kind of feel like I want to talk about it. And hey, again, it's my channel. I can talk about whatever I want, I suppose. So, Disney World is reopened. And for the record, I don't think theme parks should be reopening just yet. I think theme parks like gyms should probably wait quite a bit longer, because those are just germ factories, the theme parks. And especially Disney. I mean, Disney's probably done as good a job as you can expect, keeping the place clean. But the bottom line is you still have guests who don't want to wear the masks, who want to lick everything. Like, in fact, there was a Disney vlogger who went back on day one and admitted she had a fever and a sore throat. And it's like, why are you going to Disneyland then? Or Disney World? Why are you doing it? The problem isn't the companies. It's always going to be the people, the customers, the guests, whatever you want to call them. Well, one family that had months ago saved up money and bought a vacation to go to Disney World. And they were, at first, by the way, a little concerned that their trip might be canceled because of this whole COVID-19 thing. But luckily, they were able to open within the time span of their tickets. However, one of their daughters is autistic. And being autistic means that she really, really, really does not like the she does not like the mask. Sorry, folks, I'm looking something up real quick that I wanted to look up, but I didn't. And as a result, they went to Disney World, expecting that the cast members would be understanding and let their daughter in without a mask. And that did not happen. Disney World enforced the mask policy and turned the family away. So, here's the article from Inside the Magic. On August 6th, Richard Ross and his family arrived at the Walt Disney World Resort for a family vacation. Everyone was wearing masks except one, Ross's 7-year-old daughter, who has autism. For the record, I have autism too. It's a much more mild case of it. I'm fairly high functioning, but this talking normal thing, I have a huge stutter, and I have to really practice. And there's certain traits in here that I recognize in me, and that's why I kind of want to talk about it. The Ross family was under the impression that Disney would still let their daughter in under a special exemption. Mistake number one. You should always verify things like that first. However, they learned this was not the case. According to a video that Ross recorded and later shared online, the conversation with a Walt Disney World cast member went like this. Can my daughter, who is autistic with sensory issues, enter your park without a mask because she medically can't wear a mask? Ross said. And the cast member responded, Sir, I apologize. I know you're frustrated. At this time we ask that everyone entering a park, and this is where Ross comes on, was like, just answer me the question. Are you refusing to follow the Americans with Disability Act laws? And as a person who is officially disabled, I'm going to have to say one thing. I get really tired of people using this law as an excuse, you have to bend over backwards to every demand. Sometimes the Americans with Disability Act does come into conflict with things of safety. And, you just cannot reasonably accommodate that. A guy who is who has, by the way, a metal heart, like an iron lung, he has to be pushed around in this big iron casket thing. That's a safety hazard for some locations, and even if the Americans with Disability Act says you have to make every reasonable accommodation you can for that person, you might not be able to do that. This is very similar, by the way. Like, this accommodation might not necessarily be reasonable for the time being. But we'll talk about that in a minute. And the worker replies, hey, we're not talking about any of that right now. We're talking about and the audio couldn't be heard at this point, to come to the park. I think it was policies. If she comes to the park without a mask, we would refuse her entry regardless. Now, here's the thing about autistic people, and I have some authority to say this. We can be unreasonable sometimes. And there are things that bother us that do not bother other people. For example, I hate balloon noises. Balloon noises are the worst. They are so bad I can feel the nerves in my hands twitch. It's just really, really bad. And I just know that. Like, I can't be around balloons. It sounds silly. Like, even as I speak it sounds silly. But when those things pop, it's almost paralyzingly painful. So I understand why a mask, especially for someone who might be a little less functioning on the autistic scale, could be a very, very big deal. Here's the thing, though. That doesn't matter when it's coming towards a pandemic. Like, here's the thing. Let's play up the situation a little bit. Let's say you have an autistic child, or a disabled child of any kind, really, and they have to climb every single tree they see, and if not, they're going to throw a hissy fit, and they're going to thrash and wail and cry and scream, and it's not even their fault. They just don't understand the concept of they can't climb the tree. They just want to climb the tree, and if you let them do that, they will be happy, because that is what their disability requires. Well, from the company's perspective, you can't climb that tree. If that person falls from the tree, they'll get hurt, and the company can get sued. So, guess what? You know, their safety rules supersedes that kid's desire to climb the tree impulsively. It's a very similar thing with the masks. We are in a pandemic. You don't know if you are a asymptomatic carrier or not. Therefore, we wear masks and we keep social distancing. And you being disabled, is not a reason to not wear a mask. And by the way, I want to add, if you know you have health problems that prevent you from wearing a mask, maybe you shouldn't be going out when you have to wear masks, because everyone's doing it, and you know this is going to be a thing. And this family should have known that they were going to require masks. Like, if I were the family, I would have said very reasonably, hey, you know what? I know we said we'd go to Disneyland this year, but they're going to be requiring masks. Our daughter can't handle wearing a mask, so why don't we delay the trip for a year? Which, by the way, would be more fun in a year anyway, because Disneyland's operating at 1/3 of the capacity. Oh, look, it's the Rise of Resistance ride playing before me. Yeah, so that's what it is. It doesn't look that fun, but whatever. Anyway, got off topic there. So anyway, Disney at first did not respond to this, but they did release this statement. We are always focused on the health and safety of our cast members and guests. At all of our Disney stores, we have implemented a number of enhanced measures, including a face covering requirement. During these unprecedented times, we all have a shared responsibility to do our part. We regret the family was disappointed. Now, I have to say, this is the snarkiest response I've ever seen Disney give publicly. They're basically, this is like the closest you're going to hear Disney saying, tough luck. In fact, I loved the part where they say, during these unprecedented times, we all have a shared responsibility to do our part. That includes the family. And instead of saying like they made a mistake, they say, we regret the family was disappointed. Because, yeah, the family had several opportunities to probably change their plans, They should have known that this was going to be asked, but they went full ahead anyway, and then they wanted to pull this, are you going to deny the Americans with Disabilities Act? Remember, the Americans with Disabilities Act says you have to make a reasonable accommodation. Not wearing a mask during a pandemic is not a reasonable recommendation, and if your daughter can't wear one, you probably shouldn't be out and about. I have a couple other friends who, because of health issues, they can't wear masks, and as a result, they stay home. But hey, you know what? I have a solution for the family, and interestingly, I heard the family was from Pennsylvania, which is great for them because Sesame Place is actually the first and to date only theme park that's designated as an autistic center. These people know how to deal with autistic kids, and here's the thing, autistic kids love Sesame Place. So, here's the thing, I know it's not quite as magical as Disney, and for the record, I've never been to Sesame Place. I probably never will because I'm just too old for it now. But hey, they could save a bunch. They could have delayed their Disney vacation till next year and instead, as a supplement, go to the much, much cheaper Sesame Place, which probably would have had some protocols in place ready for the family with this special needs. But now I'm going to pass the question to you because, again, this is a sensitive topic, and I know people are definitely going to be conflicted about it, and I'm of two minds, obviously, because I do, again, as someone who officially is autistic, I understand some of those problems that you run into. At the same time, I'm also looking at it from Disney's perspective, and it's like they can't be reasonably expected to follow that request right now. They probably also wouldn't let someone in the park who doesn't smell like they've showered in 5 days because of what's going on. And of course, just to top it all off, California has their first recorded case of the plague, and I don't know how many years. So, yay California, we're doing great with the fires and everything. Anyway, I would love to know what all of you think about this. Comment below, like, favorite, share, subscribe, and as always, flame responsibly. Have a good one.